Are we jumping right in?
Yep, we gotta wait till 6.
Yeah, 6:30.
Oh, okay.
Gotta have one winner.
29, 28, 27.
Okay, let's call this meeting to order. We have Building and Grounds Committee members Kevin Kennedy, Kate Netzel, and Laura Strobel in attendance. Second item of business is to nominate and appoint a Building and Grounds Committee Chair. Either one of you would like to be chairman?
I would nominate you, and I would second you.
Okay, okay. All right, there's been a motion, a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Meeting minutes from the April 20th meeting. If we've got those, are there any thoughts or comments on those? I was at that meeting, and, well, you guys weren't there probably, so it's
Right.
difficult for you to
I know.
make any comments.
It's hard to believe it that long ago.
I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes.
I would second that motion.
Okay, any discussion? All's in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. The next item is the item 4, building project and budget update.
Ross?
Ross, or-
Ross, you want me to jump into this?
Sure.
Obviously, we start this every time with the same, entry to this and the major themes of the, construction project for obviously learning spaces, school capacity, safety and security, all of which we've achieved. And then construction schedule, we're obviously at the tail end and done with this. So, construction, the bulk of the construction is completed, and we're now into just the other details.
Is there anything that was back ordered? I know for a while there was some carpeting that was difficult. Did that come in?
Yeah,
All right.
it's done. No, really, what's been happening, honestly, we occasionally get calls about one thing or the other that crops up, so we got.
Punch list type stuff or warranty?
Yeah.
Right, warranty type thing,
Okay.
so, of course, we deal with that, we got a 2-year warranty, we're through the first year of the majority of the work that wrapped up, this past summer, but the summer before. But then on the last phase, of course, will be 2 years from this past September.
So it's a little different in that we do kind of a split phase project, and we have to understand that what parts are warranty A and warranty B essentially.
Right.
You know, and then it's pretty simple, the delineation is really the phase 2 of that would go for 2 more years. So we got about half a year left, or a little more, of warranty in phase 1, right? And then a year and a half in phase 2. And we'll talk about that. I've got an item on here to discuss
Okay,
that.
yeah, with your pending retirement, we should probably have a document, just describes
We
it,
do.
maybe some graphically, you know, that shows. the
That's
phase
what I
one,
got.
Phase
That's
2,
what I
actually,
showed.
okay.
I wanted to show you guys, because I am leaving, I wanted to just touch base with some of those items, just to make sure that you know we're secure and that we're.
Yep.
It's not just, I'm not just walking off.
Okay, we have your cell number.
Well, no, you don't, I'm giving my phone
Oh.
back.
Oh.
Right.
Okay,
All right, so the budget format, we'll go through this for those of you who haven't seen it in the past. We've got, sort of 3 columns where we were at the start of the project, and the first column where we are, as of the previous update in the center, and then where we are, as of the current projection in the file, in the last column. It's a little different from all the other updates that we've been doing, that the last column now isn't what our costs are projected to be, but really what we see as sort of final values for those line items. Because we're really through, as we said, the vast majority of the work and the billing and whatnot. So we have a pretty good idea of where things are going. And, you know, we have our GMP, which is really just like one line. I'll show you where that is.
You tell me when you
overall
want me to go
spreadsheet.
forward.
Okay, but there's a lot of other things, and Ben's been keeping me up to date on some of the invoices that have been coming through on a lot of these other line items, so been updating on that, and then based on that input, again, based on where we see our costs coming in, we got, again, what we see to be projected final costs. And they'll vary a little bit. It's not like this is gonna be the last dollar. It's something that, you know, within a few dollars, within a percent or so at the very most, overall. Most of these line items should be pretty well paid.
Are you still getting some invoices in then? So,
Yeah, did a couple this week, they're 10,000, that Hogan one invoice
Yeah.
they finally got in, so.
Right.
I think it's pretty much narrowed down to this one through CG Schmidt,
Okay.
so.
So, again, projected last, or projected final amounts, you can see on the miscellaneous owner direct costs, we're a little under, projected to come in about 7,000 under where we were projecting it the last, update. So we had a few dollars of savings on those line items. Next one down, the maintenance bill, of course, that was done sometime ago, so those numbers haven't changed.
Yeah.
On the construction side, so this is really our GMP, this section 3.0. And our numbers haven't changed, of course, our GMP total cost for the construction hasn't changed throughout the process. But what we've been doing, there's been a number of changes that have come through that have used contingency to account for that. It was built into the GMP. And you can see we're projecting to have about 520,000 rather in contingency, left for the hard construction costs.
Keep going.
Yep, keep going. The next section is low voltage 5.0. We're coming in a little over on that line item. There was some ESS invoices that came in and took us a little bit over on some of those costs. On the IT and communication district direct items, we're over on that line item. It's about 80,000 over where we were expecting to be, or I was expecting it to land. And an important thing to point out is that we continue to, on the last line of that section, continue to project 83,593 in E-rate rebates. I think that's still a little bit in limbo. I don't know if you've read any more.
No, we just have to get confirmation of those.
Okay.
Make sure they're there.
So they're in there. There's a note at the end of this that we're still projecting that. I think it's a little bit of a unsure
We're
thing.
counting on that, those to come in to get those numbers though.
Right.
So, yeah, okay.
On the FF&E, we actually came out a little bit better on that section. You can see we're about 54,000 under where we were projecting to be on the last update. On the last section then, 8.0, there were some consultant billings. This is from your
EMC.
IDS, who took care of a number of different inspections through the process to just check on the road final costs. And that's if you get to the next section then, John, you can see in that center gray area there where we were projecting remaining contingency. Now that's gone away because we're simply projecting final costs in the amounts above, not contract amounts, but final costs. So with all of that taken into consideration, you can see at the bottom line there, we're projecting about $184,000 remaining contingency, some unallocated balance on the project. And two notes on there at the bottom, if you could just go back real quick. 83,593 in E-rate rebates is included. If that went away, we'd be down to 100,000. In addition, it also is not projecting any additional outside funding for any of the steam equipment. And there's been some conversations that there may be some balances, might be, you know, couple tens of thousands of dollars that will improve this bottom line.
Yeah, all the stuff we earmarked for that was paid out of the referendum, so my hope is that we're able to pull back from that. I just have to confirm that we have that alternate funding with there's some donations and some grants that were applied for, so. once I confirm that, we can add that back in. That could add, 40 to 50,000 back in there.
Okay.
All right, and then as we've been looking at, throughout this process, there are some things that have come up along the way that we kind of put on the sidelines and said, well, maybe at the end of the project, if there is money available and the priority is still there, that we might wanna consider putting back into the project.
And we have scrubbed this list where it was quite extensive and much of it was cleaned up. And this was done at the B&G level too. It wasn't just us in the room doing it.
Yep.
Where, hey, we're not gonna do this, we're not gonna do this, so let's take it off the list. Instead of carrying that over all the time.
Yep, I remember these items, yeah.
Yeah.
What we did during the project was there'd be items that would come up and we'd be like, we don't have to spend it. Thought, hey, these would be nice things to have, but we said, okay, let's create what we call the parking lot. We'll just put them out there, see where things are at the end of the project, see what we've got left over, and then we can talk about them.
Right.
So we placed it out there.
Right. You did get a number for the scaffolding.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
I just had to put it together.
Okay. The top and the bottom two are to be determined. The top one is the parking lot. We have those numbers. We know what those are gonna take and how much it's gonna be. We just need to make a decision on what we wanna do with those lots. And then, forecast that forward to potentially bid this out and get those numbers so that we have a contract in place going into summer. We don't wanna wait or delay right now because you can always bid it out and you don't have to have it done. Just cause you bid it out doesn't mean you're contractually bound to do it, right? But if you don't bid it out, you're not gonna get that price in their workload. They're counting on people who they bid it out to and and you get selected as the bidder. They are counting on that workload in their projections. Kevin, you understand this, but if we don't do that, we're gonna be paying top dollar for any projects that we would do down the road. We could get the asphalt done, but you're gonna pay a lot. If you bid it out early bidders, best prices. So we wanna bid this out soon.
And are those both lots you're doing the?
I've got it all broken down,
It's
Kevin.
directly south of the field house and then directly south of the main entrance.
Yeah.
There's two big main lots there.
I think, yeah, it's the south side, so it's all the south student lots, and I got some photos I'll show you, you guys will understand better when we break it down a little bit. Okay, that's why it's TBD, there's actually a number there, we don't wanna float it in there and convolute this whole PowerPoint, okay? The other ones are smaller items,
Right, that's.
and there's some replication too, I mean, provide platform for around RTU 5 and scaffolding platform around RTU 5, those are two separate numbers.
Is that the one above the kitchen area?
Yes.
Okay. And there's up in the ceiling area, there's above the kitchen, there's these return air, I don't know.
Rooftop units that
Yeah.
are, we had to build them up because of a disparity in height discrepancy, so those units are high. For us to get at them, service them, you'd have to go through a ladder, and it's just not feasible. You gotta take filters out, you gotta work on the unit, you can't do that from a ladder, so you gotta have a base with which to work off of. So we gotta build either a scaffolding up or a permanent type of structure that you can stand on and work on. It's enough to go up on the roof. We have 20 different levels up there. It's enough to go up from level equipment, tools and everything that you're not gonna be standing on a ladder. It's just, the problem is it won't happen. And if you've got people, historically, if it's, I'll change that later. Instead of going up there with a filter and doing it and making it somewhat accessible. So this is the cost to remediate this. We've been talking about this since they were put in.
Yeah, it's been months. So there's two options, one's what, 19,600, the other's 30.
I kinda got an idea which way Kevin's leaning.
In the 19,600, will get all four sides. Of the
Really?
The other one was just three sides.
What, you're like Monty Hall, Kurt number 2 here, or what?
I figured this is, it's a less, when we could scale it back, it would be a couple $1,000.
No, I
less.
like all sides, honestly.
It seemed to make sense with that.
That's a better pitch for me too.
Is it just like a grate with a fence thing around it, safety fence type thing, and the snow will fall through it and things like that?
But it's some type of structure that's
It's actually just scaffolding with,
freestanding.
Yeah, freestanding scaffolding. We tie it down to the steel frame that's.
Yeah, so it's
up
rigid.
there,
Okay.
So it doesn't move around.
Right. I'm okay with that too, I'm fine with that. We just need something to get up there and work on. you know.
So they climb up?
Well, there'd be either a ship's ladder or, yeah, there'll be a ship's ladder that they get up to it. The important part, Laura, is that once you're up there, you've gotta open up these doors and all these filter racks and stuff like that, and you've got a bunch of stuff. It's big, the unit's big, you know, it's this size of this room. And you've gotta get at it and service it, and you gotta get to the controls, but you don't know which door you gotta go in to service what controls, so you need to be able to access that whole thing. So, yeah, it's a maintenance
So
item.
this would just be a permanent scaffolding that's sitting
Yep.
up there, so it would kinda look like it's under construction a little bit, you know, it might blend kind of away, but, you know, the aerial view, it would look a little.
Yeah, you'll never see it, it's not like it's street
Yeah,
side
people
view,
won't
it's
see it on the
internal to
ground.
the school, you don't even see it.
Okay.
So, I mean, if it was something that we had out in front, we'd wanna screen it, you'd wanna put the right thing up, it's back in between, well, it's over the cafeteria. So it's over the actual kitchen in the cafeteria, so envision how far inbound on that building that is. You might see it if you're standing on the back of the football
Stood
stadium.
on the top of the stadium, you would see it.
But so, I mean, this would be acceptable.
So what's the difference between the 32 and the 19?
So the 32,000 would be a permanent steel structure,
Okay,
so, it would be.
It's actually attached to the I-beams and, yeah,
on two sides.
three.
on
Three
three
sides,
sides of
okay.
the unit. So one side, if you wanted to access it, which is fairly infrequently, and that's why we only went to three sides on that option, you'd have to have a ladder.
So the four sides at 19 is like,
It's a good one.
it's kind of music to my ears, but it's understandably, it's been a budget item. It's been a budget issue, it's been something we've talked about a lot, knowing that we have to do it, so we VE'd this thing down, and Ross did his due diligence to find a lesser price for it, which is helpful.
How high is it
Kevin's
above
idea.
How high is it up above the roof?
Well, it'll only be one scaffold.
Okay.
Right, so it's about
Five
a
or
little over
6
5
feet.
feet.
Okay.
Which you have to have railings for. and
Yeah,
you have to-
yeah, so I have that. Okay. Do you wanna kind of walk us through, in your sense, like priorities of which you'd recommend, or what you guys are thinking?
I had that whole thing, and Ross and I talked today, and I go, let's not prioritize this.
This is tough, cause you guys are new to this stuff,
Mhm.
so it's a little, yeah, but we can walk through them and talk about them, then each one if you want to. I mean, the scaffolding, I do think it's a safety issue for
Yeah.
people, you don't want, so I like the less expensive price, the 19.6.
Mhm.
And it might be a little visible, but, you know, if we paint it.
Kevin, I don't think you're gonna see
Won't be
it.
too bad.
I don't think you're gonna ever see it,
You're never gonna see it.
unless you're a drone,
Yeah, the drone places.
yeah, but that's about it.
Okay. Let's walk through some of the other ones. The drinking fountain, that's the multi-purpose room.
That's at the multi-purpose room in the middle school, that's the punch through the wall and pick up a drinking fountain on which would be the, east wall.
That's kind of, what is that used for? Like, isn't that like wrestling and stuff like that are in there?
They have gym classes in there too.
Okay.
Is there mats down?
Right now there,
Yeah.
yeah. They pick them up, put them down every day.
Yeah.
They're the zipper ones.
Right.
Okay.
So a drinking fountain, there's no drinking fountain in there, so they have to go out the corridor to get water, or into the gym, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where there's water there.
The narrower hot wells, we're working on a potential remedy for that may be nothing. But the narrow hot wells were, the lunch ladies, the wells that were built, that were purchased for this are deeper and a little bit taller, and you know what they are, they're serving wells for the lunch.
Vegetables and all
Yeah.
that stuff in there.
The steamers,
Yeah.
steamer tables is what they are, that's what I call them. And they can't reach over and feed
Get to
the
the back.
children
Yeah.
and reach over, so they're reaching over the hot wells and it's just too far. So what we're looking at doing is we're looking at lowering those and putting different wheels on, and then also taking the backside of those hot wells off and picking up about 7 inches and pushing it forward, seeing if that's enough for them. We haven't heard from him, have we?
No, nothing.
He, like, just leave us, or?
He's out there.
What company
He's
was
out
that?
there, I know that.
What company was that? Like Belter or?
No, that was,
Koenig.
yeah, he's the kitchen design consultant. And we went after him because he
Yeah.
was the one that designed and put these wells in,
Mm-hmm.
so. And they're great if you're 6'6",
Mm-hmm.
but as everyone knows, lunch ladies tend to be short for whatever reason, right? And they can't reach it, you know, it's hard for them. So what we do is we kick it over to the side on angle, and they're doing it the way they shouldn't be doing it, serving from the side. So ideally, what you should be doing is you should be serving from here, reaching over to the slide area where the kids have their trays, and just distributing the food. And we haven't been able to do that. So what we do is we go perpendicular, and they're working from here to there.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're waiting for new wheels, and we'll take those other pieces off once we get the new wheels and put those on.
Yeah, that one always frustrated me because I
Right.
I think
I
it was
know.
kind of a design issue that, they didn't look into it enough, or we didn't,
Right.
have input, and it's expensive to fix it, so.
Well, it's really a mistake that was made by somebody else that we're inheriting the cost for, and it's just not right. And that's a real simple way of looking at it.
We'll see if the new wheels, that'll be inexpensive, I would think, and then if the other idea ever pans out.
Right. The next one we got here, the 2 scrubbers for woods and metal area. At this point in time, they're, in my opinion, they're not necessary, but we're keeping them there just because it is a safety issue, and if we do find, once they get into the woods program, what it is, these are air scrubbers, they're called, and they hang from the ceiling, and they go in the woods department only. So we have metals and we have woods, so they'd hang in the woods, 2 of them would hang in the woods, and it takes the air and recirculates the air and purifies the air. So if you've got a lot of cutting going on that's not getting sucked into the collector, it would be ambient, floating around in the air, and that's awful for lungs, and it's not healthy. The old wood shop, it was pervasive, but that doesn't mean it's right. So we want the air to be clean and purified. Haven't seen any signs of any type of dust or debris in the wood shop with the fans running. So we're gonna just monitor this. We've got a number for it. Doesn't mean that we have to do it, but we do have a number for what it would cost. That's for 2 of them, right?
Those 2, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But right now, we don't think we need to. That's working out okay.
Okay. Display cabinets for Innovation Center corridor. There's 2 options there. Ross, you wanna talk about those?
Sure, so the the top option, a little more expensive, this would be for displaying art or projects that the students put together in that large hallway of the renovated addition space there, the tech hall. So this would be a series of prefabricated cabinets that would be on wheels that could get moved around as needed, but they also, in option 1, are lit, so we would have to add a couple of outlets in the hallways so that they could get plugged in, so that you could have a little bit better display of those projects. Option 2, in an effort just to scale it back a little bit, we actually cut it back to 4 cabinets, 4 rolling cabinets, no electricity, but just giving teachers the opportunity to, again, display some of the artwork and projects.
How many cabinets do you think were in that more expensive option?
I wanna say it was 6.
6, okay.
Yeah, and there was a couple of different sizes, it went from 6 foot down to 4 foot.
Okay.
How deep are they, Ross?
There's just 24, 25.
Regular
inches,
standard.
right? Yeah.
Is this might be getting in the weeds, but are the items inside there kind of secure and locked in there somehow, so?
They are locked.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a glass cabinet,
Yep.
obviously, but,
I just would hate to see somebody.
Well, and the
stuck
corridor's
in there.
locked too. I mean, we lock that corridor independent of, the corridor's only open at times when it necessarily is occupied. So at the cafeteria, we lock that corridor off.
Well, as long as the cabinet is locked.
But the cabinet's locked so people can't. And I'll tell you, we have not had any mischievous type of activities in there to, hopefully people recognize the fact that they're in a beautiful area and they take care of it, and I've seen that so far.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are the 2 options for that. I don't think we have any motion or anything tonight for this.
What I was hoping is we'll talk about it and come to consensus on these and take it to the full board.
Perfect.
The full board will decide this.
So the next 2 items are dust collector related, and we have an extensive dust collector for our wood shop. And that being said, there needs to be some automated controls on there that we don't have to take the maintenance part of it and then just guess. So we have massive amount of filter socks in there. In those filter socks, we wanna put a vibration control in there where you vibrate those socks and then the dust falls down into the dust collector. Because what happens is if they sit up there and it gets clammy or sticky or wet or moist and the air comes through there, it gets stuck inside those filters, and then it is an absolute nightmare to get those things cleaned out. We have enough operation and maintenance on that we didn't intend on without having all this other stuff to do. So what we wanna do is we wanna get the vibration system put in there and then an alarm on the dust collector. The alarm on the dust collector it's secondary through our operating, our management system for our Johnson controls. And it would tell us at what point the duct starts to exceed or reduce the amount of CFMs in there. So if it starts to implode, it would shut the thing off. Now we had that happen where we had to replace all the ductwork in there. So it's a reality that it could occur, but that was for various other reasons. Number one, the ductwork wasn't sized properly. Number two, there was, the blast gates were all closed. And so therefore the internal suction was at its highest peak when it was running. That doesn't happen anymore. We've got some protection for that, but this would automatically shut it off and it would be a manual reset, I believe, on this. So once it shuts off, you'd have to notice it and then go there and reset it and figure out why the internal components on that shut it down. So it's a safety device. We don't wanna have to worry about the implosion of the ductwork. The one that is really important to me is they both are, but the vibration system on the socks is almost something that should be in there, because we don't wanna have to take those socks off and clean it. They're big, they're way up high, and if the more that we can do this in an automated system and then buy time on actually taking those apart, if we do once a year and have summer maintenance on those, it'd be great. But right now we're doing it repeatedly and it's taxing our guys.
How often do you typically, would be doing that maintenance? Is it truly only once a year that you need?
Well, you would, to clean those socks out, if you had a vibrator on it where you can vibrate those socks and knock the dust off, yeah, we do it every summer.
Okay.
Would someone at that point be able to check the dust collector to see if it's possibly getting too filled to alleviate?
We do that, they do that on a regular basis, but, so envision the dust collector as a massive unit where you have filtration coming through it, and then the dust and debris drops down into these 55-gallon barrels, or a hopper, whatever it may be that we use. Right now we're in barrels. So you have a barrel attachment down to it, so the dust does come down into that, and they empty that part of it, but those socks are up top and up high, and those you have to open it up and take it apart to open it up to see it. You're not gonna be doing that in the winter. It's just not gonna happen. It's another one of those items that's gonna become a non-maintenance item and a neglect. And this thing's gotta be $100,000.
Probably.
Are they is it on the roof?
No, it's that big blue unit that sits right beside the auto shop.
Okay.
We just add.
Hey, we want the maintenance teams to check it every 2 months or something like that, just to see that it's not, the alarm system. Just
I would,
manually check
if we're gonna do one or the other, for sure the vibration. Because that's a direct correlation to maintenance on that unit. The other one is a protection. It's really an alarm system for you,
So you don't burn out motors or whatever.
Well, and it's more for that you don't implode ductwork, right?
Yeah, if everything's closed, somebody sucks a rag up the dust collector system or something like that, and all of a sudden there's no air going through and the fan is chugging away, trying to pull air, trying to pull sawdust from the collector. Could you get to the point where all of a sudden
The duct breaks.
Yeah. So it's sucking and something's plugging, and everything beyond that point would tend to implode, or could implode. Now, we did build that ductwork up to a higher gauge, so. The likelihood, maybe not, but at the very least, if we could move forward with the vibration system, I think that's something that we really need to put on that.
Okay. All right, then,
We're going from the old dust collection system that the only time I knew there was dust collection is when I got out to my car and there was dust all over my windshield because it was blowing all over the roof, right? Now we're into something that's state of the art, and you can see it in the buildings. We don't have that ambient dust in the air, or that fine dust in the air. It's because this system's functioning. So to be able to protect that system and to be able to keep those vibrating functions in those socks allows us to keep that fine air coming through there and keep it from protecting the kids' lungs, basically. And it may thwart off us having to put in those air scrubbers. Because to be honest with you, now that I see this run, I don't know that there's a need for air scrubbers. If there's a need for air scrubbers, that means something else is not running right. So that should be, for us, that should be a tool to say, hey, let's check everything else out. Let's check those socks and make sure that they're not plugged.
Okay. And we kinda covered the
RTU.
RTU 5, so the lifting hoist at the tech theater, is that for setting up scenes and things
Yep.
like that?
And if you remember correctly, there were 4 of those scheduled originally. And in conversations with Chris, he just did the play, and they were pining for that area to be able to do that, to be able to have that. And I said, Chris, you asked for 4, and it was kind of a big reach. We want to know in reality, what are your needs? He said, if I could get 1, it'd be great. All right, let's price out 1. So that's what we did. So that's what the price for 1 of those is. Now, is that manual or auto?
That is automatic.
Okay.
How does that, is that a hoist that a person is in? It goes up?
No, no.
Okay.
It's really just taking, and it's like a flyway,
Yeah,
you know,
so they
scene
drop
you
everything down. and then-
drop everything down, and then you pick it up
Yeah.
automatically, and it picks up the scene.
Right.
As it picks up the scene, they work on it on the wall.
Mhm.
So they would work on it on different heights and different levels
Okay.
by virtue. And he'd only have 1 in his shop down below. I don't know where you would put 4.
Yeah, that would have been a lot in there.
Yeah.
So there's none right now?
No, and they just got through their play, and in the play, they had it all laid out. I mean, I walk here on a Saturday and Sunday, and they're laying out their paint on the floor, and they could use 1. It really would be I mean, he's using that room to its max, which is really, really I'm happy to see it. And there's no more congestion, and they've got a little storage unit out in our facility, right? We have that garage section for them,
Mhm.
so they're in and out of there, and they're really making efficient use of their space. And this would just assist them for sure.
Yeah, I've seen the manually done versions in the theater when they do that, like, scenes I've been there. Actually, it seems kinda dangerous to me when kids are around there when they're lifting those up, but.
The manual ones?
The big ones in the main theater space,
Yeah.
when they do that, it's like, the tech kids are all in there. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, and as you know, tech kids there's a lot of those, they're working on their own a lot.
Mhm.
So it might be better to have the automatic one for this one, as opposed to the weighted flyway type. Because if they're not balanced, and you don't know what you're balancing, because you're
Yeah, those things.
different
can be
weights,
thousands of pounds.
that thing could kick off and they could crush someone's hand. So the automated one takes all that
Yeah.
guesswork away, where you don't have to balance the weights for the load.
Okay. Right, next
So
item
is this an automated one?
This is automated, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Sound application for parking and Thorson, with the addition of some of the rooms and then the demolition of some of the rooms, some of these sound amplifiers for the sound field systems for the teachers have been taken out, removed, and or need to be added. And this is, pardon me, this is for all of the Parkview and all of Thorson, getting them up to having every classroom with 1 in it.
Okay. This is for like kids with hearing.
Correct.
ability.
And you may have one kid with a hearing disability or have some moderate hearing, but the teacher uses it all the time. And it's amazing how pronounced it is. Is there still water in there?
There should be.
So, yeah, you use them, Dan, in your school, right?
Yes, yeah, okay.
So it's something that we would, you know, when you have one teacher who has it and one teacher who doesn't, and I don't wanna say it's discriminatory, but it's almost like, you know, everyone should or everyone shouldn't type of thing.
Is it tied to a classroom?
Yeah, it is. So you can't, it's not like a mobile unit, the speakers are on the ceiling, much like this, and then the portable unit they wear on kind of on their lavalier, and they talk through it. It's like, it actually hangs around their neck, and it's a microphone system. And they use it, it's not like it's part of,
Does Westlawn have, what about?
Westlawn has all their,
Okay, so it's just these 2 schools that
Mhm.
didn't get every classroom with 1 in?
well, we added the additional classrooms to all those rooms, that wasn't part of it. And then we added doors in a lot of those rooms, and some of those rooms that got demoed, I think the units got demoed out or they weren't. Those were the old units that we pulled out that weren't working. So to bring those two buildings up to snuff would be 33,750, and that's a number that Kirsten researched. And that was just a per unit count. I think we're doing the installation. So.
Alright.
And the repeater for the walkie-talkie system, there's dead spots here at the high school that we need to have identified for this is for the fire and police when they come in. I mean, the last thing you want is a dead spot when they're on their walkie-talkies and they're in the areas in the high school that they can't get to. So to add an additional repeater, we already have one high up base, more issues with communication, unknown to us until we actually get into it. And they've got a device they go around and they test those areas and those blacked out areas, and then they provided us a number for, it's basically just a repeater that attaches to our walkie-talkie system already. Okay?
Yep.
And then the vape system,
That'd be primarily in bathrooms?
just in a few bathrooms. I talked with the principal today. There's 4 bathrooms that we'd like to try this at, and that's why I don't have a number, because I got an email into Brian Bouch, who's the guy that installs all this stuff. We need to figure out what it is per unit, and if we don't have to run a home run, these things run off of Cat 6 cables, and you typically would have to run a Cat 6 cable from each device back to your punch blocks, and then each device would have to have its own cable. You can't daisy chain them together. In discussions with some people, I'm thinking that we could connect up to a wireless device and have a WAP.
Yeah.
And just have a WAP pick it up, a wireless access point. If we can do that, we can run a cable out, we might be able to get these fairly reasonable, and maybe even do it in our operating budget. He just wants to sample 4 bathrooms, and those are those single transgender bathrooms.
Okay.
Because what happens is those bathrooms have a lock on them that they can throw. And so what kids have gotten savvy, and they go in there, and then they throw it, and they hit it, and they vape in there, well then the smoke alarm goes off.
Okay.
Which is automatic. Hey, we know you're in there because the alarm's going off. The problem is, the alarm went off.
Yeah.
And now you've got to displace everybody in
Yeah.
there, so.
Okay. Alright,
So we'll get a number, we'll come back with that.
okay,
Okay.
that'll be future.
You remember, we originally had this thing for every bathroom, and it was like $250,000.
Right.
And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. For something that, quite frankly, the technology I don't think was there at the time. And we were kind of reaching and in meeting and discussing with my groups of peers, they're like, don't do it, they're not successful. So we kind of tabled it and said, this is somewhat a waste of money. If we can find that there's new technology, and these are single bathrooms where they're small. In a big bathroom, you know, the kids will go over in a corner and vape and it won't pick up. But in this single seat bathrooms, they really have to.
Are more kids than just one going in there together and doing this?
No, I don't think, they don't allow more than one kid in there, but again, this is a bathroom that these are ajar and they're open. They have the ability to go in and throw the member on it, the lock member. When they throw that member, it's got a vacancy, occupied, unoccupied switch in the back. We do have the ability to open it up with a key, but it's not a standard key, it's a throw member key.
In case there's an emergency or something.
Yeah, correct. I mean, you wouldn't typically go in on a
Right.
bathroom that's locked.
Right.
Unless you know, hey, I'm watching this guy went in there and he shouldn't be in there. So these are truly just transgender bathrooms that are accessible for the students. And I think there's 4 of them.
Okay.
So I'll get a number on
Alright.
it just for 4. If I can get them for WAPs, maybe we don't have to have a discussion on this.
Okay,
Okay?
alright. Any others? Top of this list?
This is the list. I think if we want to, or if you would like to prioritize these. See, I wish I had it I deleted the other sheet because I had it all prioritized and I had it all rated, as well as it was an Excel spreadsheet. So you can make a change real quick, yeah.
Do you guys have thoughts on, it's hard, I know, just hearing this for the first time, if you have thoughts or opinions on different things?
I have a few. I've just kind of been making a list of things that really make sense to do
Sure.
right away.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I have a order we this list, but
Mhm.
the scaffold platform makes a lot of sense, it's a safety issue. The hoist goes along with that through the tech department.
Mhm.
The hot wells, I mean, we don't want people burning themselves or kids. The vibration cleaning, which
Yeah.
I think getting that in would keep a lot of other, maybe the alarms don't have to go in, but the
Potentially, yeah,
vibration
right.
should be first.
Yep, I agree.
The repeater kind of goes along with that, with safety and the sound amplification, I think.
Yeah.
I've been in classrooms that have those and it really helps kids attend.
Oh, it really is amazing. I mean, it actually draws your attention to that room when you're in there, it really does, yeah.
Can you ever get grants for something like that, as it's assisting students who may need the?
We could talk to
Yeah.
Ted.
Yeah, you can explore it for sure.
Yeah, that's
I
an expensive item, and one of the more expensive ones out there.
mean, if we could get a grant for it.
And I wish I had a better breakdown, Ross, did he send you any information other than just the price on this? Do we know how many there are?
No.
Or Kirsten sent you?
Kirsten, no, I didn't see any kind of a breakdown.
Okay, we should probably get a breakdown to justify that, I do understand that is necessary, and it's something that quite frankly, we will probably need to order, because it's gonna be as everything is becoming more and more difficult to get, probably a little bit of a delay.
And does this include like installation and
No, we're gonna do that.
everything? Okay.
What's your list or thoughts, Laura? Did
I
you
mean,
have
I
any?
agree for the most part, I mean, like the, display cabinets, that's kind of a nice thing, I mean, that would be something almost if you could ever get, I don't know what, they just had the STEAM, the arts in the, for the educational foundation, and to me, that would have been a great item to maybe
Ask for it?
ask for.
Yeah.
What else is up on here? Yeah, I agree, the vibration cleaning system, and maybe wait on the alarm.
Yeah.
So is there
Okay.
anything else on here? I don't think.
The hoist?
I think
We,
you mentioned that, right?
Yep, the lifting hoist.
But that sounds like it could possibly be a safety issue.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, as I saw it, those kids were lifting those things up, and they're down there busting it, and they're lifting it up, it could be,
Would it be an issue if they're using the hoist in it?
I don't think so,
Staff
not if it's
members in
automated.
the
I
round.
think if it was a flyway, you know what a flyway is, where you have the ropes that are weighted, and you have
Off to the side
the
of the
locks and the
stations,
weighted, yeah.
One time it's,
Yeah,
the ropes come down and they're.
And if those aren't balanced to the load perfectly, they'll take off on you, or they'll come slamming down on you. That's why we have a technical director in the PAC, and we test those. Those things need to be tested, weighted, and looked at. To have one of those out in the tech theater classroom, so much could happen to it. In the theater itself, those are all locked up. So those are all balanced, and most of those are curtain loaded, and they're all weighted balanced, so we know exactly that that's neutral. And Paul does a great job of making sure that those are all balanced too.
So that was your list, pretty much the same? Mine was the same list, actually. I had, a question mark on the display cabinets, cause that would be nice to have, but you're right, maybe that's something you could do a fundraiser for, or something like that.
A side note, couldn't that be a project for the woodshop kids? To make cabinets and then have a little plaque made by the class of whatever, and then,
Possibly, yeah. It's probably not super difficult to make, I'm not a woods person.
No, I'll come back and do it for you.
But I did have the same list that you guys had, and I was estimating that of our remaining contingency, that uses up about half of it.
Okay.
So we're getting relatively thin, we still have about $90,000 left, and
And Kevin, so just, we're not doing the drinking fountain, or we are?
I didn't do that, I mean,
Okay.
and that's just one of vote, 3 votes to take to the.
No, I
full
get
board,
it.
But I'm thinking, with water bottles nowadays and stuff
Yeah.
like that, people use water bottles pretty commonly, and you can just fill up your water bottle and take it into the wrestling room.
I'm more asking for Ben for notes, you've got a handle on what they were looking at possibly? Okay.
So,
Okay.
I had the same list of items, so is this something we wanna take to the full board and get each board member to weigh in on and decide at the next board meeting?
Yeah.
Typically, that's what we've done.
Right.
It's every, it's a referendum, and every board member should have a say in how they're spending money, so.
Right. There were times in the project, in the building and grounds committee level, where we would just push through approvals and things that had to be done, and they were time
Yeah.
sensitive. But something like this is like spending remaining contingency that's there, and these are things that have been on this list that we've held hostage for a while now. So I think, the fact that we're doing it this way, and you bring it to the full board, the board votes on it, we'll bring this whole thing to the board at the next meeting.
There's been kind of a, you know, for the entire length of the project, a hope to bring things in under, and return money to the taxpayers, say, let's try to, you know, not spend all our money and try to return money to the taxpayers. And, you know, it's been whittled down month after month, stuff comes up and it's getting smaller, but this would take about half of that. And, you know, we'd be near, you know, about 90,000, somewhere in that range, I think, remaining if we did the items that you guys listed.
And
Well,
Ross,
I
are you
think-
comfortable with that, as far as contingency?
Assuming
We have
the
some.
E-rate rebates.
Yeah,
come
so-
through.
We have the variable, the E-rates that, you know, that's
Yeah, the E-rates is
83,000.
still out there for 84,000, we need that, otherwise instead of 184,000, we're down to 100,000, and this would use up almost all of that, we only have 10,000 left, which is very small. But then there's also $50,000 potentially of recovered items.
Correct.
That you know, so we might end up with, so
Yeah.
it could be.
So, I think, Kevin, you could probably say pending the E-rate rebate,
Mhm.
you know, because they're not gonna know. You'd have to explain all that, pending the E-rate rebate, we can do this, otherwise we go back and mix it up again and see where we're at.
Yeah,
The
my
only
hope
thing
is-
that I see that really has to get done, I mean, when I talk about having to get done, that we really need to do immediately, is we gotta get that platform
Yeah.
for the HVAC unit.
Yep.
Cause it's gonna take some time to order that, and we're gonna be in the middle of the winter out there on a ladder, and I don't want someone to slip and fall and have it. Cause now you're not only 5 feet up, you're 5 feet plus the ladder, you're, you know, 10 feet up in the air, working on it, in snow-filled shoes and, yeah.
So we'll confirm the rate rebates, and get that ironed out, we'll also confirm the donations and grants, and see where we
Yep.
stand there. Just a couple
50,000
items out
covered
there.
there would be great, yeah.
2 items on this list that we can check on too. The amplification system, I can check grants, something that comes to mind is actually the ESSER grants. A lot of teachers have been using the amplification system because they're wearing masks and it actually makes them
Alright.
sound better, so it actually could be an opportunity there. And the hot wells, that could be something, depending on how we're tracking for our food service account, that we could just pull from
Yeah,
local
food
costs
service, yeah.
For Fund 50.
potentially, so.
Yeah,
we'll check
I've
all
always,
these things.
I've always not liked the hot well solution, just because I don't think it's our cost. Ultimately, I
Right,
think it's our
right,
mistake
sounds
that
like a
we should be
design
paying for it,
flaw.
so, yeah, I think it's a design issue.
And we went over there and we looked at every way upside down
You're right,
together
I don't want
about
something
trying to
to break, yeah.
reconfigure it, to make it work for it, and there's just no way, in the box that we're in, with what we call the kitchen, there's just no way to redo it. So we came up with this other thing, so let me try the
Try
wheels.
yeah,
We'll get those
so see if
wheels.
That drops.
If
3 or
that
4
drops it
inches.
down and makes it functional,
Yeah.
we have nothing to talk about
Yeah,
anymore.
right, okay.
You know, next thing you know, you're gonna be eating mashed potatoes every day.
Is the lunch program back to regular?
Almost.
Okay.
Yeah, there's still some, not packaged stuff, but like helping students be served.
Okay.
Instead of, before COVID, students would kind of serve themselves at the elementary level, so there's still a little bit of that left. High school's pretty much back to, you know, pre-COVID serving practices and stuff like that, so, pretty much what we're navigating around is just, you know, trying to maintain staff and food service
Yep.
programming, making sure we're able to deliver, but it's getting close.
Alright,
Okay?
anything else on that? Okay,
Okay, thank you.
alright, great, thanks.
Next item is, punch list items. This is something that Ross and I worked together on. This is, you know, Kevin, you talked about a system. We put it on a Google Doc, and we've got this all on a Google Doc where we're basically taking items that are, anything that comes up goes on the Google Doc. Any work order I get that's something that's a warranty item goes onto the Google Doc immediately. And then what we do is we come back and we scratch those, and I just run a line item through it. I do that and leave it up there for the purpose of having that background information. So I don't wanna eliminate it. So this Google Doc's gonna continue to grow, and this is just a snapshot in time. We're not here to look at this, but I want you to know that we're out there doing this and we're working on this and we're constantly tracking this. So anything that might go wrong, anything that may be a warranty item, anything that might, even if it's touch up of paint, it's on that Google Doc,
Okay.
all right? And we're tracking it.
How often, Ross, I mean, typically, I would think you don't want, or contractors generally don't wanna be coming out to fix one item at a time.
No.
You wanna kinda get a list like this, set it up for, okay, in, summer, you know, June or something, we'll come out and take care of these items, or if there's some item that has to get done sooner, you maybe have to hire a driller. But for a lot of this stuff, you kinda wait a while, is that kind of the?
Yeah, it depends.
Even
depends
at
on what
night.
It is.
Okay.
I like to get rid of them, although there's plenty of things here that we still have to address, but we're taking advantage of, for example, Wednesday, there's no
Right.
school, so
Oh, okay.
we've got a couple of contractors coming in and take care of some things.
We repeatedly have contractors in here to take care of things, and we try to gang them up.
Yeah,
But,
it's-
but our concern isn't necessarily that we've got efficiency in numbers, we wanna get it done. So, like carpeting, you know, if you got a bunch of areas of carpeting, we'll tag them and we'll locate them, take photos. We'll bring the carpet guy out here and he'll do 20 of them, whatever it might be. And those are usually re-glues or something that came down, something simple. There's no real major things with regards to flooring and things like that, but yeah. So,
Okay,
we keep things like,
so you got this list,
yeah. And things that are outside ancillary to the building, if they can get at it, like the roof access ladders, we just let them go up there and do it. We just make sure the high school
yeah,
knows.
on the exterior, yeah.
Cause these are all primarily high school things, cause there's so many different levels. We still have some ladders, those still need to be installed, yeah.
Okay.
So, but we're tracking them, and it's not, oh God, I forgot about that. It's on the paper,
Okay,
you don't wanna rely on a rusty mind, and that's what I got right now.
okay.
And things can still get added to this.
Oh, absolutely.
correct?
They are
Okay,
constantly.
so-
Constantly being added.
Yep, during the warranty period.
Yeah. Yeah, we wanna get everything cooking over this warranty period. You figure in that first year and a half, if it didn't break, it's probably positive to run for some time, you know? But if it's a huge Google Doc fan, but in this instance, it works really well. So, I just wanna pass this along, so our building and grounds committee is comfortable with how we're tracking, warranty items. This is, I wanted to bring this up to your attention because we talk about this about every 3-4 years, natural gas pricing. One of the things that I do is I go out on the market and we purchase natural gas as a commodity. And I wanna show you some of the things the reasons why. So our natural gas purchase is essentially it's a compromise of 4 items, essentially, natural gas, that we purchase, that you purchase. But what you don't see is you don't see the delineation of those 4 items, which we do, because we're a large volume user. The percentage of gas purchased as a commodity, which is your gas that you buy, and you're buying a spot on the pipeline is what you're buying essentially. I mean, it seems so ridiculous, but that's how they do it. Then they can tell how they could force that gas through and how much they need. They need a volumetric measure for you to have it, otherwise they're gonna gouge you like they're gonna gouge us like they gouge you on the spot market, because you gotta pay 100% on demand, they can't shut you off. We don't have an alternative source, so we don't have a different fuel oil to switch over to. So we're reliant upon natural gas. We need 100% commitment, and we gotta be 100% firm with our purchase. So the percentage of gas purchased on the spot market, that's the other side of it. That's what you and I pay at home, okay? The natural gas transportation costs from the wells to the city gate. Wells being natural gas wells to the city gate, which is over on Capitol Drive. You gotta pay to transport that gas. That's part of your bill. You guys don't see that because that's all built into the spot market pricing. And then natural gas transportation costs from the city gate, which is Capitol Drive, to the burner tip, which is where we're cooking gas on our boilers, okay? We just recently, and you'll see this here, we just recently bought into a contract where we can purchase transportation costs. That was never the case, so we delved into that for less than 10 cents a decatherm. We're buying transportation costs firm. That doesn't go up and down according to the demands of the spot market. So we use this as a budgeting tool, right? We don't buy natural gas necessarily to get into it to save money per se. We get into natural gas to use it as a budgeting tool, so we don't have the peaks and the valleys and the spikes. And you'll see a little more of that. So we're in the last year of our 3-year contract. We lock up approximately 80 to 90%. You don't wanna lock up 100% of your gas because you don't know what your winter's gonna bring. I mean, if you got a really warm winter, you're paying for that gas at 100%. So whether you use it or not, you bought it and you own it, right? So we go 80%-ish, somewhere in that area, because you don't know your volumetric measure, so you can't really tell whether it's 80% or 70%, because you don't know how much you're gonna use based upon heating degree days, okay? This allows us to avoid the price spikes on the spot market, and that's what we're doing. This year, we're able to purchase gas, the transportation portion of our natural gas, and establish this number as a budgeting tool. So we now have protection on transportation, we now have protection on the actual commodity of the gas purchasing. Current price that we pay right now is $3.50 a decatherm, and that's through March of '22, which is our primary gas burning months. Current strips and future allocations of gas is estimated at $6 a decatherm. I've heard up to $10 a decatherm is what could be paid depending upon how things go, which means we're all gonna pay that at home. And we have no choice, right? We currently have all of our gas allocated at $3 a decatherm, which is a significant savings to us. This is the win of the budgeting tool, where we're gonna win on this one. We're gonna,
This winter.
well, I went back to budgets from, I was looking back at budgets from 2005, 6, 7. Back in 2006, our gas budget was $190,000 a year at the high school. Currently, our gas budget's $75,000. Now that's over a period of years where gas didn't deflate, it inflated, but because of efficiencies with new boilers and things that we put in here, we're able to throttle that back and have significant savings.
But
Just
I was
on
thinking,
that.
you're getting us to March of '22,
Right.
so through most of this winter,
Right.
we'll still be at the 356.
Yeah, to be honest with you, it's March of '22, April's really
Yeah,
nominal.
coming out of the,
Yeah.
coming out of the.
Yeah, we really only buy the primary months of December, January, February, March. Those are their heavy
Yeah, heavy use.
volumetric, right? And we'll keep an eye on this. So right now, I could probably buy strips for 5 years at about $3.90 a decatherm. And, you know, I meet with an advisor. I'm not on this, NYMEX doing this myself. If I was that good, I wouldn't be working here.
That's why you're retired.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, don't wiggle my pockets. So we'll keep a close watch on it, and we'll see where we're at, and then we'll come forward with a proposal when that time comes. It may be that we go forward with it as long as we know we're in there, because it's very time sensitive. Those things move on a daily basis. So it may be that we've set parameters that you trust us to lock up at a certain.
I would think if prices keep going up, the futures numbers are gonna keep moving up too, I would think.
Oh, they are.
I mean,
They are, yeah. He thinks, my guy who was the buyer, he said, hold off. I said, we can lock up at $3.95. He said, hold off. I think I can get you down to $3.60.
Wow.
So if we can buy it at $3.60,
Yeah.
and we can lock up for 5 years, you're in that pattern for 5 years, and you'll see a little more on the graphic.
When do we pay it? When we
It just comes as your whatever you consume, your bill.
We don't pay for 5 years.
No, but, no,
Okay.
no, you pay by the month, just like
Okay.
you do. So I get a bill from Constellation, I get a bill from, We Energies, and I get a bill from the transportation pipeline now.
Is that a use Constellation Energy?
I do.
Yeah, we've used that too.
Well, we didn't used to, we used to use the Wisconsin one, and they got bought by Constellation, so I didn't really show it.
Washington, aren't they?
Yeah, well, he's out of, Winona Grove.
We use them on our.
Yeah, they are the biggest, I think, in the United States.
Okay.
And they don't treat you as your small stuff, although we are, in comparison to like a steel plant. You know, we're no different in volumetric measures than a steel plant would be. The only difference is that commodity, we can't add price to our widgets, which are our students, whereas they just add prices to their steel to cover their costs.
Yeah.
So, he was just telling me a story about a company that he didn't lock up. 2 days later, the guy was getting threatened to be fired, so he locked up. He lost $1 million, this company, because they waited 2 days. So that's how quickly it can change. You know, we're talking about larger volumes
Yeah.
too. I mean, this isn't what we use. So the reasons for volatility, just so we're aware, is natural gas storage. There's underground storage. That's more a utility concern than it is our concern. But we keep an eye on it, whether it's a bullish, bearish market. I keep an eye on that. I get a report every week that I read off. The cessation of the Keystone Pipeline, that's a killer. I mean, that's hurting a lot of things. The freeze in February in South Texas, where they froze up and all that equipment got fractured and busted up. Commodity trading and speculation, it's like any other commodity. speculators that get in and out of the market create the fluctuation in the market, and that's what causes the, you know, the undetermination of what the pricing is. It's like any other commodity you're trading, right? And then uncertainty projections of colder than average winter. Now, NOAA, which is the oceanic, I don't even know the whole acronym, but that particular group is projecting that we're gonna have a colder than average winter. So, yeah. So those people that listen to this, run those guidelines, all of a sudden that helps the speculating of the increase in price.
So
Which
when-
is helping us right now because we're saving money, we're locked in.
When would you be bringing this like to the board? I mean, is this the next board meeting? you think?
It may be, we're thinking about having another B&G meeting in December.
Okay,
Um,
all right.
It might not be here, maybe over at the fermentorium.
Oh, well, that's one thing.
But, if we have one in December, we may end up getting those strips down to the point where we can purchase and, you know, I would suggest that you give us the latitude, and we've always done this, I've never
Yeah,
really
we've
come
always
back to the
done, yeah,
board,
right.
give me the latitude to do this, that if it does drop down, we make that purchase on those strips and we move forward. So I'm saying if we can get it to within, you know, 370 to 350, that we allocate and we go ahead and
It's close
purchase.
to what our current budget is
Yeah.
too, so it's not like
Yeah.
we're. looking
If we
for
can
a
get within that
budget increase,
ballpark or close, I think we should make the recommendation. You may wanna provide that,
To the board, yeah.
yeah,
Let's take that to the board then, to discuss that at the board meeting.
Sure.
okay.
Yeah, 'cause it would make sense to be able to have a window there and say,
Yeah,
yeah.
and say, yeah, go ahead.
Going to get-
And I've always done that, I've really never come
Yeah,
back,
right.
I come back and report it to you,
Right.
but I've never,
Locked it in,
yeah, cause it's so time sensitive. I mean,
Mhm.
for me to wait a month, it may be here and gone,
Mhm.
you know?
Okay.
Okay, and here's just a graph, here's where we're at. The green line is us, and those are where we're going. So you can see, I mean, just graphically off of a graph, bar graph you got here, or the, line graph, so you can see where we're going and the significant savings that could be implemented. So, yeah, I was real happy to get this report. I mean, I'm not happy, because I'm gonna have to pay more at home, but
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is, it's working out for us. Okay?
Okay. Great.
Capital improvement projects completed, I'm just gonna go through a quick list of things that we did this year. And these are in alignment and in concert with our 10-year plan, so year one in this 10-year plan, these were all in, okay? The carpet and the PAC, we recarpeted the whole Performing Arts Center, hadn't been touched in 23 years, 24 years. So, we redid that. Webster and North, classrooms in the hallway, Thorson 8 classrooms, Parkview 8 classrooms, carpeted. Painting in high school, miscellaneous painting throughout the district. Duct cleaning at Webster, we did all of it, we were only gonna do 50%. So, when I got the bid back for 100%, it was about $10,000 more, but it just made sense to do it all at one time instead of reallocating them and having to do it. Now, all of Webster is done, so we jumped ahead a year on our duct cleaning. So what we do is once a year, we take a school and we clean all the duct work inside. So this is, again, on the lines of our indoor air quality, a positive assessment of our indoor air quality, and that's one of the things that we do. So every 5 years, a school's getting their ducts cleaned, okay? Complete Thorson East sidewalk.
Where's that?
So it's on the other side of the property, but it's an area that we just inherited, the land, and there's a girl over there that's in a wheelchair, and her parents are so nice, but I mean, realistically, the sidewalk starts and it restarts by the bike path,
Okay.
okay?
Well, that's
It's on the
where it is,
back, it's
yeah.
on the east side, yeah.
Okay.
And then they've gotta go out into the street, and it's really our property, it's really our responsibility, so we got, I had a concrete, guy that just poured it for me. We took care of it, got it done, it needed to be done.
How long of an area was it?
It's about, I would say it's about 120 feet, 130 feet. The downside is I now have to shovel
Yeah,
it.
you gotta- yeah, that's true.
West Lawn gym lights, we're still in the process of, we're not 100% LED, so we're still in the process of replacing some of that, but we're about 98% LED, and that was one of the ones we took off. Resurfacing the stadium track, if we didn't do that, we were gonna start losing some of the integrity of the track. Now we bought 10 more years on that track, at least. So it was a great upgrade. I mean, it was $80,000, but it had to be done. There again, you're protecting your investment, you know. Thorson roof replacement, you know, Kevin alluded to that we bite off sections where we can. This is a small section that needed to be done, to kind of tie in and get Thorson almost to the completion side. And then Fund 46, the water main, which is a big deal. That was a huge deal. That's all completed, grass growing in, you wouldn't even know we were in there. The vintage gym floor, the CHS band soundproofing, is done. And I put that in Fund 46, is that accurate, Ben?
Well, we're not pulling from Fund
Yeah.
46, we just
We're using it as a,
didn't contribute as much.
yeah, okay. And then, Fund 50, that's accurate, correct? The kitchen office, did that come out of 50?
That came out of the referendum, I think.
Okay, alright,
Yeah, the office.
okay.
That's a lot, that's.
That work is done, now we have the
Yeah.
office completed.
Yeah.
Did we get that cord? For the little light lamp cord that we,
Yeah, it's an extra position, just gotta get pushed up.
oh, really? Okay. Alright, so that's the capital improvement projects. Now, talking about the parking lots, and that's the to be determined. How do I want to even approach this? There's a couple of options. We could repave all the lots as they sit. And I think what I'll do is it'll be easier for me to point at stuff. So remember these numbers, and I can flip back and forth. But the $440,000 is to take care of, we have a south parking lots, which are the student parking lots. We have southeast and southwest, they're divided by Juniper, okay? Juniper dissects both those lots. The southeast and southwest lot, if we just wanna repave those lots, pull off the asphalt, put new asphalt down, proof roll it, make sure that it's sound underneath, it would be $440,000 to repave both those lots. Now, there's discussion about moving and now this is where I gotta kinda show you graph. This lot here, there's discussion about taking this roadway out, right? Everyone knows where we are, right? Field house.
Looking at the field house, yeah.
Taking this out, moving these parking structures up here, basically getting rid of this this island and pushing that up to there. What that would eliminate is it would eliminate the the flow through and the stopping in front of the field house and that traffic and the potential for kids getting hit. One of the things that's real is people park here and then
They're coming for a basketball tournament or something.
no, but Kevin, I can put those out there, it's not gonna matter. They'll park there anyhow, then I look like, Black Mariah and they're like, I'm the pariah for parkers, right?
Do you mean parking on the
They come in
driveway?
for drop off and pick up primarily.
Right, 'cause I
So,
don't really see cars parked there.
oh, and always, constantly.
Yeah,
Right.
I see
Here?
it on weekends and stuff.
You see where this car is? I didn't take this photo because there's one car there, it just happened to be there. But there's cars here, and then there's cars all along here. Now you're double wide, you got room for one car to get through. And then you got kids walking across, because, when the kids leave here, they're going to the parking lot.
Yeah.
Did you just ask if there's can't you put like no parking like fire lane or
Yeah,
whatever?
stuff
Yeah.
like that, stripe it, like something.
We can
like
do
You
that.
might wanna consider doing that, cause it is dangerous for a kid running out of the field house between cars.
Yeah.
It would be kind of,
I can do that, but who's gonna
yeah,
officiate
the
it?
police department would have to. No,
They won't.
The,
And we can do that, sure, I can
Yeah.
crosshatch that area. That's cheap, I can do that out of our budget.
I always just assume when it's people visiting on weekends, they just didn't know that they weren't supposed to park there.
It could very well be, but it's not, it's our people picking up their kids
Well, I can
at
see
night.
people stopping there and picking up kids, you're
Yeah.
right, that can still happen, you're right.
Yeah, I think it was a safety issue. Now, when you get back to the cost of this, when I talk about us moving that over and shifting that, right? And you get back to the cost of this, to shift just that section over and repave that, redo the curbing and all that, it's $625,000, and that would include paving this section here. That would include, the demarcation of the construction line is only right here. And remember, it includes that little circle turnaround, Kevin, I'll show you that on a map in a minute. But there's a little circle turnaround, because bus traffic would now come over here, come out here, come over here, and then go down the roadway at West Lawn. and it would eliminate any traffic going through there. This was, you guys weren't part of this in the beginning, but this is something that the Toddy, a traffic, company, they put this together for us as the safest possible outlier. Now, one of our board members is not a fan of it.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it, I know Rick isn't either, but,
Rick
the
is-
revision, I'm just, well, because I think it makes, right now for school buses, it's a nice smooth,
It's smooth.
you know, right,
Yeah.
going through to Webster, instead of coming down the street, making turns and making more turns.
Right, and the other thing is, it's quite frankly, it's double the price of,
Yeah, and it's
repaving a
expensive.
parking lot.
Right, and it's expensive, so.
right, I mean, we're going from 400,000 to do both lots to what would be about 900,000 to do both lots.
Yeah.
I have a question, I'm just wondering if there's gonna be unintended consequences of all those parents that park there and are waiting for kids, where are they gonna go?
So they'd have to come into these spots, these spots would be increased, and these spots would be increased up here, so they could actually pull right up in here. You know darn well that those spots aren't gonna be available, because
No.
every kid's gonna be the first one in. First kid there is parking right there.
Right, I'm envisioning they're gonna be going back down to,
Yeah,
Evergreen.
and I'm not saying that this is
Yeah.
the right answer. What I'm just giving you
It's an
the
option,
option that was
yeah.
brought through. This was
Yep.
brought through by the traffic consultants.
Yep.
And I'm just bringing that forward
Yeah,
and then
it's-
giving you the pricing. So the downside to this is, it's really almost double the price on getting repaved parking lot.
I have another thought too, when kids are coming out at the end of the day, how many are really coming out the field house? They're coming out the main entrance.
Next to none. I mean,
So then why are we
5%.
cutting it off? Like,
it's more the evening activities.
okay, I do see that as pick up at sports time and that sort of thing, but,
Yeah.
I mean, really?
I know, I
And not
agree.
having the, when I see kids come out of school and it's really congested, it's after school, and I'm almost afraid that would add to it.
And this might be something that even in this meeting here, we can eliminate. That is an
Yeah, I wasn't
option.
too- Yeah, just the cost of it, and I was not like, I
Yeah.
don't know if it's.
And I'm okay with that. I'm not up here proposing one or the other. What I am saying is we do need to do something with those lots. So if,
Yeah, next time
in
you're up
fact,
there, Laura, you're probably there every week.
I've been
Events and
over the
stuff.
year, yeah.
But take a look where, you gotta almost see when there's not a lot of cars there, and it is starting to fail.
I got pictures, I'll show you.
Has anyone brought up the new parking area? Cause that was brought up at the high school PTO meeting, parents aren't,
The new circle, dump back here.
yeah. Cause what's happening is, well,
Kids walking through?
over there, yeah.
I
Kids-
got it.
Or
Yeah,
otherwise.
I know exactly what you're
walking
talking
through
about.
the
now.
traffic.
Yeah.
And there's no way, or otherwise they're walking along around the field house and there's no sidewalk there. They're just gonna try.
Yeah.
Well,
Parents have talked about it, but that's.
and we can,
the side thing.
Casey's talked to me about it. And his reply to it was to put fencing up and make them walk through there, and I'm like, Casey, I gotta plow snow. If you put a fence up there, I've got nowhere to go with our snow, and I can't, what am I gonna do? So we have to have that, that's why we put in what are called soft curbs. So you got a curb, it's a soft curb to a sidewalk, we gotta be able to go over that and push that with a plow, so you're not damaging your blades and chipping the parking lot up to all you know what. So we have those soft curbs in there so we can push that snow up onto the PAC field. And that's actually required. He wanted to put a fence in there, so when the kids come off of Kennedy Freeway, they're coming down the walkway. I'll have a sign up there before I leave.
You need a clicker to do something with kids too.
Put it in neon. So he wants to fence that in, and I said, you can't do that. I'm almost inclined to, and I'm not exaggerating, to sit out there, put cones up, and I'll sit out there with a vest and whistle, and just say, hey, you gotta go this way, and I'll explain it to the kids. It's not a lot of kids.
Didn't we add that sidewalk at?
Yeah, but the sidewalk we added, remember,
They
we were
wanna-
gonna
they
go,
wanna cut across it.
we're gonna go straight. They
Yeah.
take the path of least resistance,
Yeah,
they walk right through.
Diagonally.
And those cars, you're hitting them at the worst apex of each point. When they
Yeah,
come
right
through,
through
the people are not looking because they're turning. That's where the kids are. And then when they're leaving, they're coming in and they're turning the other way. And then they're looking right instead of looking
When
left.
parents, then the kids come out early, or they come out and so they don't wanna wait in the whole line to go along, so they're just.
They're
their
walking
kid
through,
comes
yeah.
in. Well, no, and then they're turning around their car and cutting through, it's
Yeah, they
just,
shouldn't be doing that.
I know, but they do. And as far, this south parking lot, I've driven and dropped off so many years, and the field house has never been an issue. The biggest thing for me, safety-wise, has been the entrance into where the principal office
Yeah,
is
the
now,
main
because
entrance.
that's where all the buses are, and you got kids just
Oh, right, right.
coming in, you know, cause it's
Yeah,
like
for that
this-
spell where
Right.
they're-
Selfie spot, yeah.
So, I don't see this as being a big.
So let's eliminate that as an option.
Okay.
And so we know what we're dealing with, it's about 440 to take care of those lots. Sources of funding, I think I've got that in there. We don't need to,
Is there any way to do one lot one year, one lot the other year, or do you? think
no,
there's-
so the pricing is based upon
Yeah.
one mobilization. You could, but you're gonna pay more.
Yeah, pay more.
Yeah. And it's not that big of a job that they can't, you know, what they could do is they could start on one end and work their way over, and we could still have some limited access to the other end, but you basically can shut down that lot during the summer.
Yeah.
But you're talking about a 20-year gain. You have 20 years of asphalt then for,
You
you
know,
know,
we probably have to talk about that some more if we get ready to do it, cause the summer is used a lot, the
Yeah.
field house is used there 4 nights a week
Yeah.
for.
we'd have to, well, the other side's open now.
Yeah, we'd have to have one
So we
side
can
open
open that
and
side
the
up
other
and we
one,
can have them come in, we can work it out. I don't think there'd be an issue, it'd be a little bit of a constraint, but for like CDC and things like that, yeah, we can figure that out. Maybe we can work out an area where they could finish that area, we could figure it
East
out.
side or, yeah,
Yeah.
west side.
Cause once they get it paved with the second lift,
Yeah.
we can
that's
go
fine.
on it.
Mhm. Okay.
So, I'm inclined to say option one, and Nick's option two, because we're talking about another $1 million to move it up, it doesn't sound like people would wanna do that. And I don't know that I necessarily disagree with that, but I am just passing the options along because we had a survey and a study done, in which that's what the recommendation was, okay?
Ben, do you have like things like this budgeted, or not really?
No, I think we initially earmarked this for possibly use for contingency in the referendum. Obviously, we've used that up. So now we're starting to target Fund 46 possibly
Okay.
as an option to fund it.
Yeah, so that's what we had talked about possibly, because we get into Fund 46,
March 2020.
March of 22.
Okay.
Which is available
Yeah,
to us
well,
this summer.
Yep.
So we bid this out, we get the numbers on it, and then we could, that's, and the $400,000 doesn't deplete Fund 46 as much as $1 million would.
1.3 now,
Okay.
after that, and we have a scheduled contribution this year of 300,000, so it should bring it to 1.6. If we did this out of there, it'd bring it down to 1.2.
Nice. Okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna bid this out. And we'll get some contractors lined up, okay?
With that?
Because we wanna get into their
Yeah.
workload so we get the better price. And if we were doing a big section of roof this year, I'd do the same thing. Alright, we're not locked into having to do it, but we are locked into,
I think oil prices are still going up, so
Yeah.
and there's a lot of oil and asphalt, so.
Yeah, right.
Better pricing there.
that's the conditions, just to give you guys a couple snapshots of what it looks like, it's time. Yeah. This is on the far, well, one of those is right out in front, and that back, the middle one, the bigger slide, is on the far, south side,
Okay.
right? You know where that loader or that lugger was?
Yeah.
It's not far from
Yeah.
there. Okay.
Okay.
I'm just throwing this out there, is there any possibility of when you're doing the lines, cause I know that's been a complaint too, that there aren't enough spots out there, I'm assuming it's as efficient as can be, but,
That what?
Oh, the layouts, the
yeah,
parking layouts?
the parking layout.
Well, you're kind of, if you look at this, you're kind of married to, see the islands? You're kind of married to the islands. Those are if you,
Yeah,
I'm just
pointer doesn't
bringing
work
it
on the
up.
screen.
that's the southeast lot right there.
This is
So
southeast, right?
In theory, you could potentially add more, I think we still own land to that grassy area there.
There's not a lot though, yeah, when that goes down.
Yeah, it slopes off to the
Yeah, and
church.
this slopes severely, this is severely sloping. They're talking about a pinch for parking, but we are not in a we have enough parking. What we need to do is get all the teachers out of this side of it, get them over to this side of it, and do an efficient job of marking where the teachers park, and then open the rest up to the kids. So we have extra spots, we have about 90 spots open. You know, but they don't wanna commingle with kids, so we just gotta figure, Casey's working on that, I know he's going through all that stuff, and this is a source of consternation for him, you know. Yeah, let's see here, I think I got one of
that's the other revision.
And there's the other lot, so that's the, you can see where we're at here with this roadway coming through. We're kind of living with those.
Yeah, you can't,
We can't take that out either, because there's green space requirements that the city puts upon us. That you gotta have so much green space in your lots, you can't just randomly go through and asphalt everything. You'd have to get approval, and they'd never do it. Okay, the next thing, and I think the final thing, is really, this is to be coming forward, a school condition report. If you remember correctly, when I met with the both of you, we went through and I showed you those, how, you know, the HVAC, the roofing, all that stuff, and how it ties through the pie chart. That all needs to be redone, and I'm in the process of doing that. But all that stuff has gotta get because everything ties together, it's all on an Excel spreadsheet. Everything ties through that Excel spreadsheet into the pie graphs and everything else. We're in the middle of taking care of all that, but it's a lot of input and a lot of data. Because you remember, there's HVAC equipment, there's parking lots, there's roofs, there's all the major components of the 10-year plan that are in there. And then the roof survey is forthcoming, I'll have that soon. And then the 10-year plan, of course, we change that every year. So, or revise it, I shouldn't say change it, we revise it every year, but inevitably it changes. Because year one is never the same as year two. There's a good basis and there's a good solid plan in place, but you always are adapting. I mean, I got PAC doors that need to be put in. Those are gonna have to take a step forward, they weren't even on the plan because of the.
is that the main doors?
No, the side doors, but what happens is those doors are resi doors. The architect spec'd out a Pella door that's really kind of a residential door. And they're rotting underneath, and now you start to see that, you don't check underneath your door frame to see if they're, you know, but they're rotting underneath, and I gotta take those out, we'll have to put special light doors. That's why we buy things like special light doors that last forever.
Is that like the doors going to the west, you know, that parking lot behind the PAC? Those
Yeah.
doors, yeah.
Yeah, those stippled
Yeah.
surface, yeah. I mean, Ross, you're in the business, you know what, special light, you probably cringe because people ask for it, you gotta budget for it.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, it is one of the best doors made.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're working on all the roof surveys, wrapping that
Yeah,
stuff all up?
yes, I'll have that for you,
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think,
It'll be in there.
or you can bring me back. Yeah, the majority of this will be done, the condition report will be, if it's not done, it'll just be pending data input,
Okay.
you know? Okay?
Yep.
And I think, I do wanna talk about staffing.
Yeah.
So the transition for me is a simple one, I mean, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be around if people need anything. We're leaving this place in far better condition than what we found it, by eons. And, I'm super proud of what we've done and how we've done things around here, and happy to say that it was just time for me. You know, I mean, I don't know, I'm kinda worried about what I'm gonna do, but
We'll find something.
yeah, I just don't wanna be stressed out to the point where the world's changing, you know? I don't know that it's gonna change anymore from a recliner, but, you know, I think I've got other things to do, and I got a granddaughter I wanna see, I got, a bunch of other little things, but at any rate, the bottom line is the transition shouldn't be at all difficult for you. Whoever comes into this position, we can work with them and, you know, and I'm not going away, and in 70 days, they can communicate. Apparently, there's a 70-day rule, or that, you know, yeah, you can't
really?
communicate with me for 70 days. Well,
Oh.
that didn't seem to work with Kathleen when they called her like 2 days after she retired.
We still have to pay you.
Well, no, I know, I wouldn't expect that, that's not what I'm looking at, but if you need help, I'm here. And then in 70 days, if you need me to come in and help with transition or do some things, I'm happy to do that, right?
Okay.
I view this as kind of my baby, and I would never wanna see anyone fail in this position. More than anything else, I want people to succeed, so,
Appreciate that.
yeah, I mean, it's,
Done a great
Very
job.
much.
yeah, it's been a wonderful run, it has been, yeah. Yeah, thanks. And then, most importantly, is my staff. Right now, we have 3 positions that are open. We are getting nobody to apply for it. So, we don't get any hits, we're not getting I'm going to the paper, I'm gonna start advertising, doing other things. But this is unlike anything that's ever happened to us before. Normally a full-time position, I've got someone in the wings, bang, they take it. Someone in the wings, bang, they take it. I've got 3 positions that are gonna come to fruition here. One's a retirement, one's a termination, and one is, she's leaving because she's unsatisfied, so, I mean, like, you know, whatever. But it's hard to fill these positions. I think, in our hearts of hearts, we gotta start thinking about pay and how we deal with this and how we take care of them. I know my staff is, and I'm just gonna be frank with everyone in the room, my staff is extremely insulted with the raise in the CPI. After they went through 2 years of the referendum and giving up their weekends and doing things like that. And I'm not sitting here bitching and moaning, I'm just being factual. When they got the raises, they would have been better off getting them nothing, the same times are tough. Because the 1% that they got really wasn't, you know, didn't do much for them except piss them off. So
They know
I'm
they
super
know it's
worried.
set, right?
What's that?
They know how that's set and everything, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right.
I can tell you that I'm not sitting in there bad mouthing anybody. I'm sticking up for the company and why we do it and talking about CPI. Well, you know what CPI is now? You know,
4.5% next year.
yeah, so 4.5% next year, is that, you know, is that gonna swing around the other way? Because if it does, then I think they can pallet it. But if there's some other whimsical means of adding or subtracting, you know, they're
We're
worth
pretty
it.
much stuck, I mean, whatever CPI is, that's.
I mean, technically for non-union staff, we can do what we want.
Yeah, we
We
could.
keep it pretty consistent with all staff,
Mhm.
because then, if you do one for one group and then something different for a different group, it becomes an issue, so.
And they understand that, they're not, I want you guys to understand that we have a good group of people. They're good people, you deal with them all the time, I mean, you see our custodians, you see our maintenance people, they're good people. Are they a little scorned? Yeah, but they're gonna pick up their boots and they're gonna go to work, and they're not gonna be that way, they're not. We train them pretty well on how to behave and how to handle things, and I say, if you got something to say, come in. Well, I had the entire staff come in my office, and it was like an airing of the grievances. And I had one kid who was in there talking, and he was part-time, I said, what are you even doing in here? Get out of here. I said, and I looked at the other guys, I said, you're having him as your spokesperson? No, talk to me about what you wanna talk to me about, and I'll answer your questions forthright. But we always have an open line of communication, we talk about everything. They are almost like siblings of mine, where we communicate, we do a lot of stuff, and we work together, and they know left from right for me, and they're a good group of people. I'd like to keep them. More importantly, I wanna be able to staff appropriately. So I don't know what the answer is, I'm thinking it's pay-based, but I know everyone's going through this problem too. I understand that there's a shortage of
Signs everywhere,
workforce.
yeah, you just can't find
The
people.
problem is, I gotta cover square footage at night. I gotta deal with that, and we're hamstrung a little bit here right now, and it's only gonna get worse, so. I don't wanna see this fall apart. And that's not why I'm leaving, because these 3 retirements this all just
Yeah,
happened.
that happens, yeah.
We talked a little at the last board meeting, do you only advertise through, is it weekend?
Well, that's the primary advertising, and for a custodial staff,
Yeah, that's fine for.
it's
teachers or something.
ineffective at best.
Right,
But that's our means, so what I do is I throw ads in the paper.
Okay,
Local paper, I throw ads in the Sentinel Journal. We went to Indeed, that was garbage. There's a great commercial. I had 90 people scheduled for interviews you remember our COVID cleaning teams? I had 90 scheduled interviews, 1 showed up. So I occupied almost a week of my life to schedule interviews through Indeed. And all these people are doing if they apply on Indeed, I think it satisfies their unemployment.
oh, yeah, they applied for a job.
Yeah. So, I mean, it got to be almost comical because first day, nobody showed up. And I had the whole day scheduled for an interview. I got a lot done, but it wasn't an interview. Second day, 1 person shows up. It was just so disheartening. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, we do use other venues because we have to. And we're doing that, you know, but we're doing everything we can. Normally I've got kind of a vein of people that I can tap into. That vein's run dry for me. And it's unusual because, you know, it's usually through our student work program, how we generate some of that. Even the student work program's in flux, which is unusual, you know?
Yeah. I
And that's
You see
kind of,
signs everywhere,
that's,
$25 an hour starting pay, you
Oh.
see it everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
50-some thousand a year people are starting at.
Right.
So.
so, I just wanna pass that along, cause I won't, I'm not gonna be the person to bring us out of that, I don't think, unless if we get some good hires, I'm looking forward to it. I just wanna pass it along so you guys,
No, it's good. to
I'm
know.
sure you hear this from everybody, but as a building and grounds
Mhm.
personnel and the board members, I want you to know firsthand about this.
Yeah,
That we're out here trying to protect it, we're out here doing everything we can. We are not overbuilt in our staff, we are built, we're lean and mean. We only have 2 maintenance guys. I mean, Kevin, you know the square footage and how, we run this place tight, a tight ship. There's not a lot of fat in it. That being said, when something goes down and we're short, we're really short. I have 1 floater and he's been occupied, has never done the same thing the entire year this year. Which is, I've never had him as a floater, he's always been occupied as some responsibilities.
I'm just trying to brainstorm, so you, like your staff, do you think if we would offer like a referral, if they can bring someone in who stays a year, they get a bonus? Do they know people in their, it's just a thought.
That's a great thought. That's something that if the bonus program, you bring somebody in and we hire them and they can chew gum and be trainable.
It's just cause it's not your typical education,
Right.
that they may know people who'd be
Yeah.
interested in,
Mhm.
I don't know.
Believe me, I have gone down so many paths where I'm like, I'm watching this person work and I'm maybe in a restaurant. I'm like, I think I'm gonna go ask her if she wants to be a custodian.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think she's got benefits.
Right.
Now, maybe I'm profiling, but I'm almost at the point where I'm like, hey, do you need a job that you got benefits and a pension and the pay is what it is? And, I need to tap into that vein, and if I can find that vein, usually you get good, productive people. I'm just tapped out.
Yeah, that's not unique to you at all.
No,
That's
I know,
across the
but
board.
it's frustrating, what it is for me, it's unique now to me. And it's very frustrating for me, because that's not how I like to operate. I want a full staff, and I want my staff to, I wanna be able to give the keys to my house to my staff, and that's how I wanna trust them. I wanna know that these people are people that I know that well, and I understand that much, that I can trust them to go into my house, should it be, and I don't do that, but I don't wanna change their locks all the time.
Yeah, it's a difficult position. Years ago, I remember companies reaching out, like cleaning companies, wanting to get school contracts. That was kind of one of their pitches is, we'll provide all the employees. They'll hire them, but you never know who you're gonna get on a given night and things
Talk
like
to
that.
Homestead,
Right, yeah.
talk to Grafton,
Mhm.
talk to Germantown. These people, the teachers don't even let them in their rooms.
Yeah.
Grafton or Homestead locks them out of the rooms. They won't even let them in because they don't, whatever's in there, they don't have there the next day. Cause they're going through a bunch of spins. And we tried to do that when the referendum, when I needed, X bodies. I contracted out, I called up cleaning service. We don't have anybody to give you, we can't even get people for our jobs.
Right, yeah, it's-
But now understand, they may be charging $25 an
Oh,
hour,
yeah, right.
but they're only paying these
15
guys,
or 10 or 12.
Not even.
Yeah, yeah.
not even, if it's 10, it's a lot.
Yep.
You're a lead person at 10,
Mhm. Right.
and you gotta speak multi-languages, it's just, you requires that 1 person per shift can speak English.
Okay.
I need people to talk to you guys at night when you're in there with your kids with a banquet. And you wanna be able to trust them, and that's the way we've rolled all these years. I wanna make sure that that's the same thing. I don't wanna change that, you don't wanna change that, we've lived on this pretense for 23 years. 23 that I've been here, and we've changed it, and we're proud of our changes, we just wanna try and keep this pushing forward. So I'll keep pushing, we'll keep working.
So I appreciate all your
I
efforts.
wasn't kidding when at the board meeting when I said that, at that time, when, hey, we need, anybody wanna
Yeah,
work?
yeah,
We're hiring.
yeah. Okay.
So I think
All right.
that's all I
Yep.
got.
The other item we had was future meeting dates, currently showing March 8th, but there might be one in December, you're saying?
We're gonna try and get one in December
Okay.
before I'm done.
Okay, all right, no, that'd be good, let's
Yeah.
maybe try to do that, yeah. And then talk about the gas pricing and stuff too.
Yeah, if I can get that,
Got the
if I can get that strip landed, that'd be great.
We've got bids back on these surface lots too,
I should have it back by then.
that'd be good.
Yeah, the punch list item, the natural gas price, you made a
Yep.
note for,
Okay,
possibly bring it to the board.
great, yep. And then, yeah, the items that we had, that we kind of selected?
Yeah.
Okay,
Go to those.
yeah, okay. Any other questions or thoughts?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Jeff,
You're
appreciate all your efforts.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, very
Appreciate it.
much so.
Well, thanks for, you know what, it's been, I've enjoyed my job, I love my job. I just,
Just in time, they've invented indoor golf simulators.